BTS changed Jungkook's life. Before BTS, Jungkook lived a very painful life. Fans didn't know. The world sees the stadium lights. The world hears the deafening roar of millions chanting his name. The world sees Jeon Jungkook, the golden Maknae, the unstoppable force of pop music who seems to have been born with stardust in his veins. But the brightest lights often cast the longest, darkest shadows. To truly understand the man standing at the summit of the global music industry, one must look away from the flashing cameras and travel back to a time when the applause was just a terrifying, distant silence. The story of Jungkook is not a simple fairy tale of instant stardom. It is a human documentary of a boy who was forced to grow up in a glass house, a child who had to sacrifice his youth to become a legend. Before he was the confident performer who commands the stage at the World Cup or Times Square, Jungkook was a painfully shy 15-year-old boy from Busan. His journey began with a rejection. In an industry that demands perfection, a young Jungkook auditioned for the talent show Superstar K, but was eliminated. He was not chosen. However, that rejection was the first pivotal turn in his destiny. While he did not win the show, his raw potential caught the eyes of multiple agencies. He chose Big Hit Entertainment, a small, struggling company at the time, not because of its fame, but because he was mesmerized by the leader, RM. It was a decision made with the heart of a child, trusting in a role model. But arriving in Seoul was not the start of a dream. It was the beginning of a profound loneliness. Jungkook left his parents, his brother, and his friends behind to live in a cramped dormitory with 6 strangers. According to interviews with the agency's founder, Bang Si-hyuk, Jungkook was so paralyzed by shyness in those early days that when asked to sing, he would twist his body and cry. He was terrified of judgment. He would hide in his hoodie, shrinking away from the spotlight he had traveled so far to find. It is heartbreaking to imagine that the global icon we see today once stood in a practice room, weeping because he was too afraid to let his voice be heard. The pressure on his young shoulders was immense. He was the youngest member, the baby of the group. While the older members protected him, Jungkook battled a deep-seated feeling of inadequacy. He was surrounded by talented rappers and dancers, and he often felt he was lagging behind. During a training period in Los Angeles, he fell so deeply in love with dance that he famously considered quitting the group to become a dancer. It took the persuasion of his bandmate Jimin to convince him that his place was with BTS. This moment of uncertainty reveals just how fragile his path was. The world almost lost the vocalist Jungkook before he ever debuted. When BTS finally debuted, the struggle did not end. It evolved. The title Golden Maknae, meaning the youngest who is good at everything, became both a crown and a cage. The world expected him to be perfect at singing, dancing, rapping, filming, and painting. If he faltered, the criticism was sharp. If his voice cracked, or if a blemish appeared on his skin, the cameras were there to capture it. Jungkook grew up under a microscope. He went through puberty, high school graduation, and the awkward phases of adolescence while millions of people watched his every move. He did not have the luxury of making mistakes in private. But his greatest pain was not the physical exhaustion or the ruthless schedule. It was his empathy. In his solo track Begin, Jungkook confessed a truth that moved fans to tears. He sang that his own hardship was manageable, but seeing his Hyungs, his older brothers in the band, struggle was what broke him. He described feeling like he was dying when his members were in pain. This revelation offered a rare glimpse into his soul. He was an emotional sponge, absorbing the stress, anxiety, and sadness of the 6 men who raised him. He carried their burdens as if they were his own, often hiding his own tears to be the strong, reliable youngest member. There were moments when the weight became too heavy. In the documentary Burn the Stage, fans witnessed Jungkook collapsing backstage during a tour, needing oxygen to breathe. He had pushed his body beyond its limits, driven by a desperate need to not disappoint the fans. Even while physically failing, his first concern was that he had messed up the performance. This level of self-sacrifice is terrifyingly admirable but deeply painful to witness. It showed a young man who valued his performance more than his own well-being. As the fame of BTS reached astronomical heights, Jungkook faced a new, silent enemy: the feeling of being an imposter. Despite the awards and the records, he has openly admitted in various interviews and live streams to feeling like he wasn't good enough. He questioned if he deserved the love he was receiving. During the massive success of their stadium tours, while thousands screamed his name, Jungkook would sometimes return to his hotel room and feel a hollow emptiness. He spoke about the difficulty of transitioning from the loud, adrenaline-filled concerts to the quiet solitude of his room. It was a jarring disconnect that fueled insomnia and deep introspection. In 2019, during a rare period of rest, Jungkook disappeared from the public eye to reclaim a piece of his ordinary life. When he returned, he faced waves of scrutiny and rumors, a reminder that he no longer owned his privacy. It was a harsh lesson that the boy from Busan was now public property. Yet, through the noise, he found his voice. He began to express his frustration and his love through his own songs, like "Still With You," a track released for free as a promise to his fans that he would never leave them, even when the path was dark. The release of his solo album Golden in 2023 was his ultimate test of courage. For a decade, he had the other 6 members to lean on. Stepping onto the global stage alone, performing on The Tonight Show, or in Times Square without his brothers, was a terrifying leap. In his own words from his Apple Music interview, he admitted to missing the chaos of the group and feeling the pressure of being a solo pop star. Yet, he faced that fear with a steel resolve. He worked tirelessly, flying between continents, recording in foreign studios, and pushing his vocal capabilities to new heights. He wasn't just trying to release a hit. He was trying to prove to the 15-year-old boy inside him that he was strong enough to stand alone. What makes people fall in love with Jungkook is not just the platinum records or the Billboard achievements. It is his unaltered humanity. Despite being one of the most famous men on earth, he remains startlingly grounded. Fans watch him on live streams as he folds his laundry, washes his dishes, or cooks noodles, often humming to himself. He bows 90 degrees to staff members and security guards, a habit he has kept since his rookie days. Verified industry accounts consistently praise his politeness and work ethic. He hasn't let the fame corrode his heart. He is still the boy who wears his heart on his sleeve, the artist who tattooed his fans' name on his hand so he would never forget who lifted him up. There is a profound respect for Jungkook that goes beyond fandom. It is the respect for a survivor. He survived the brutal training system. He survived the awkwardness of growing up on camera. He survived the crushing pressure of being perfect. And he did it all while keeping a smile that reaches his eyes. Jungkook has often said that he wants to be a giant singer, someone who touches hearts forever. But his future goal is even more simple and profound. He wants to mature into a good human being. He is constantly evolving, learning from his mistakes, and refusing to settle. As we look at Jeon Jungkook today, we do not just see a superstar. We see a mosaic of sacrifices. We see the childhood he gave up. We see the tears he hid behind the curtain. We see the sweat on the practice room floor. He is the golden star who lights up the world, but if you listen closely to his voice, you can still hear the heartbeat of the shy boy from Busan who just wanted to sing. He is a reminder that greatness is not about being born perfect. It is about the courage to keep growing, even when the whole world is watching. And for that courage, for that sacrifice, and for that beautiful, unwavering heart, He commands our deepest, most quiet respect.